Hello everyone, Eb here with Tech Motorsports, and here is part 2 of the E36 Champcar repair. So let's get straight into it, right where we left off. Alright, so here's the donor. It is a 97, so this is a 320i. So there are a few little differences because my Champcar is a 95. So the difference between my current Champcar, the wrecked one, and then this one is one of the main things in the back section is going to be the speaker section and the back panel back here for the driver's seat. This one is completely solid. Meanwhile, that one has a big opening in it. So I have to figure that part out. As I mentioned earlier, on the Champcar itself, there is a section of the speaker mechanism that is bent. So I have to figure out what I'm going to end up needing, and that's why I decided to start pulling the back section of the Champcar first. Now, this thing I'm going to have to roll out. I did start removing a couple of the items, and then I opened the little ski thing in there, and then BAM! A bunch of ants started running out, the big carpenter ants. So I got to run it out. Luckily, I thought about it in advance. I had some ant killer right above on the roof, and I went ahead and sprayed them. But I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the garage and remove the back and most of the panels back inside. That way, if there's any ants or anything else that I don't want inside my shop, I could go ahead and have that sit outside. So I'll pick you up here in a few minutes. Back on the donor car, I already went ahead and removed the rear bumper, removed the exhaust. Also went ahead and moved all the evap stuff that's in the spare trunk. Also in the wheel well right in here where the hoses to the fuel tank connect to. So all that's been completely removed. Also, I went in and vacuumed the whole entire thing. And also moved the wiring harness that's from the trunk area all the way up to here behind the passenger front seats. I may keep that. I may just pull the whole thing out. I already have a spare. It's a 97 chassis convertible wiring harness. So I'm not 100% sure if I will go ahead and do that. But it is time consuming, and what sucks is it's just going to have to go in and removing the seats and trying to get to the wiring harness and get that done or get that removed. So I just don't know. It's just more work, and I don't know if I want to go ahead and do all that. But anyways, so she's already been vacuumed. Like I said, the next thing I'm going to end up doing is removing the rear windshield. Oh, sorry, the back window. So what I'm going to be doing is using my little saw tool here. With that thing, it's actually kind of noisy. And I got my earmuffs that I'm going to be end up using to get that done because I'm going to be stuck in here. So, so yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on. So I'm going to go ahead and start sawing away. All right, so wasn't too bad. Much more simpler when a lot of the stuff is gone and you don't really care about it. But I am going to keep the rear glass. I'm going to have it as a spare. I have a spare E46 M3 one as well, just in case. And then now I have an E36 because the originally E36 that I took off the sedan, we just threw that away. I mean, that's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago that I had a spare one. But yeah, so now it's just a matter of start the long process, which this process is going to be probably a little bit more time consuming-ish kinda, but it's going to be a cleaner removal because the spot welds, because I hope you remember the Champcar already had the back end already done before, so everything was the spot welds were drilled out, and then I went in and not spot welded as in like a spot welder machine, but I end up using my welder, and I end up spot welding it back on. So it made it it took me a lot more time and made a little bit more of a mess when I end up removing that rear end off the Champcar. So yeah, so now it's just the staking process of drilling all these spot welds out. So that's the next step. All right, so here are the tools that I end up using for the removal of the spot weld. So the first thing is I have my center punch. So I got my punch here, spring-loaded one. And then what I end up doing is I take one additional extra step is I take a smaller drill bit and I drill that out. The center punch doesn't work all that great to keep the actual spot weld remover in the center. So I do take a smaller drill bit. I use that as a pilot for this little bad boy, and then I go in and remove all of the spot welds from there. So it takes a little bit of time, and this I go slow. I do not go fast because I want to make sure that the blade lasts a lot longer. I think this is my third one that I've gone through, and I think I have one more spare. If not, I'm going to have to order some more, which I hope I can get this done without having to stop and have to order a new one. But yeah, so on this section here, this is what I'm going to end up doing is working on the door jamb on both sides. Up here, up top is regular spot welds. Down here and lower, or from this point and lower, is physical actual weld. So that one's going to be a little bit more harder to get to. I'm going to have to end up going through the regular process of all these three, and I might have to go back with a regular drill bit to be able to get those completely out. And yeah, so I've removed some seam sealer in some areas just to get an idea of what I've got going on and how to keep this panel intact for the most part, so it's one whole piece. So I think I have a game plan. I think it's going to end up working, but we will soon find out. So as of right now, I'm going to get to this. So yeah, let me get straight to it. Okay, so there it is. The rear section has been completely removed. What a pain. What a pain, what a pain, what a pain. This took me about double the time that I was anticipating it was going to take me, and definitely took me double the time the first time I did this to the Champcar about three years ago. As I stated before, there is more damage done this time around than it was the first time, so I had to go in a little bit more further into here to be able to get good material so that I put it on the Champcar. So one of the panels that I really had to take in consideration, I wanted to keep, was this section here because it is damaged on the Champcar. So that was another thing that just took me a little bit longer. There was a lot more drilling to do there, hanging upside down in the trunk, and yeah, so just having that intact now with the whole section, and just will make it so much more easier. Also, I went ahead and did it differently this time. I actually drilled out the spot welds on the spare tire compartment instead of cutting it and then welding it back together like I did the first time around. So that again took a little bit more time. It was just a lot of drilling and a lot of cutting and a lot of drilling and a lot of cutting. And the seam sealer was not fun. There's just seam sealer everywhere, and there's globs of it, and then there's certain areas it's very hard to get to, and had to use very small screwdrivers just to be able to pick and try to find where those spot welds are at. It's really a pain in the ass, but she's apart now. I was actually jumping for joy when I finally got it and shaking it to where I could see it wanting to come out, and it was like maybe 2 inches away from right here. I was just giddy. It was like finally I was starting to get to the point to where I was going to start regretting doing it. But finally I'm here, and it's all said and done. Now, one thing I do want to add is previously you might have watched me cut this through on both on the Champcar and on this one as well. And the reason why I end up doing that is I don't want to have to remove the roof to be able to take this section out of here and then drill the spot weld. So that's why I went ahead and cut this section out, because what I'm going to do on a Champcar, I'm just going to clean that up and I'm going to weld it in place, and it is what it is. Throw some seam sealer on it, call it a day. So it's a race car, so I don't care if it gets wet, because you know, I don't think it's going to live that many years to where it's just going to you know, try to prevent any rust from happening, because there's usually rust. Actually, there's usually not much rust because usually leaks oil, and there's, you know, whatever oil covers, it never rusts. So this is pretty much where I'm at. The other key thing that I needed to keep an eye on, it was this section here, because this one is pretty bad on the Champcar, and I know I needed to cut this part of this section out to put it on the Champcar. And also this section here where the fuel cap goes, or where the filler net went, normally when we first pulled it out, we just hooked the chain and pulled it, so this is all messed up. But I don't really technically need this section because we're not using the filler neck as we have a fuel cell. So I'm gonna keep plugging away. I got to figure out what I'm gonna be doing next, but at least it's off. Sweet. So yeah, I'll pick you up here in a little bit. All right, so this is the end of part 2, and we're gonna pick it up here in the next one, coming out here soon. So hope to see you in part 3. Like always, like and subscribe.